And again, it's not to beat one specific person. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be Carla right next to me, my wife. It could be my daughters. I'm a competitor. Maybe that's not a good thing to do with your kids, right? I don't think I'd ever let them win on a Monopoly game or a checkers game. Like, you just have to develop your skill sets to beat me. I'm sorry. I don't just give up like that. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, AZ Arajo, and thank you for joining me. I believe this is the second week of December. Am I correct? Actually, it's the first official week. It's December 7th. So the first official week has ended for December, and what an interesting week this has been. November 30th, the last day of November, was the first day of my training, training for the Ironman 70.3, which is going to take place in the beautiful city of San Diego in Oceanside. And I got to tell you this, like the first day that I went out there, and it's cold out there. If you live in Arizona, if you live in Phoenix, you know anything below 50, 60 degrees, it's cold. But it's got down to like 37 degrees, and I'm out there. I'm out there on the grind, right? I'm out there, with just a vision of how I want to complete the Ironman 70.3. Like that's the only thing that's really pulling me forward, right? Realizing that there is a target that I must hit. And I think that's very important that we all do and reflect on a consistent basis is knowing what you want. So as opposed to forcing change, right? As opposed to forcing yourself to do something, it's actually like pulling you into the future of obtaining the things that you want. But that vision has to be so vivid. And I explained last week to a few of you about the vision that I had for the new HQ of AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching. Like, I took a buddy of mine and he walks through the entire building, and it's still in the frame staging, right? So nothing's really come together, but I start describing on what this corner is going to have and what that wall's going to have and what we're going to put here and what's going to go over there. And he's like looking at me like, how did you even come up with this stuff? Like, how do you know where everything's going to go? Like, where did this come from? And, having the vision of what you want and really like detailing it, where the vision is so descriptive in your mind, it really allows you to like put that together, right? And that's exactly what I've done with this building. I mean, it's been in my mind, and I've already worked out of this building. I've given, the trainings in this meeting. I've done my coaching calls in this building. I've walked through the hallways. I've done all those things already 1,000 times, and we're still 2 months away from actually opening, because I've had that vision and it's been so strong. And we have to allow ourselves to really start realizing what is it that we want, right? What we want. And I really want to do very well in the Ironman 70.3. And it's going to require me to be out there running in the cold, right? 37 degrees. And I know it's going to get colder. Last year, it got down below 32 degrees. That's below freezing, and I'm born and raised in Phoenix. And it's like one of those things where it's not natural to me, right? It's not natural. As a matter of fact, it's hard. It's very tough to go out there. And most won't do it. I know this because I'm out there. Right? It's like a ghost town out there. It's only our crew that's out there getting this done. Now, is there other people out there? Yeah. There's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, you just don't do these things, especially as it gets cold, right? Or you don't do these things when it gets really hot, when it's 100 degrees at 5 o'clock in the morning. Some people just won't do it because it's too hot. And, I start thinking about what gets me motivated, right? And just having this conversation is already getting my blood flowing. I'm going to kill the day because I know what motivates me, and I'm going to share this with you, and I hope that you're able to take it on the context I'm trying to convey this message, right? That you have to look everything as a competition. That's what really motivates me. I see everyone else as a competition, no person specifically, just everyone in general. I see that as a competition. And when I'm getting up in the morning, I tell myself, no one else is doing this. When I'm putting on my jacket, putting on my joggers because it's 35 degrees, 37 degrees, no one else is doing this. When my bones are aching and my mind is telling me just go back to bed, I say no one else is doing this. And that gets my blood going, right? It gets the energy within my soul going. And I want to go out there and prove a point. And prove a point. And the guys that are around me will tell you this. Sometimes we'll just be running and I'll just start yelling. No one else is doing this. No one else is running. Because it's like this enemy that's really not there, right? Which is everyone else. I don't, wish bad things upon anyone else. What I'm saying is I will outlast and I will outwork everyone else. Like, that's what really gets me motivated. Like, if you're losing motivation, it's almost like you got to have this nemesis. And like, again, it doesn't have to be a person in specific, just a nemesis out there that somebody else is doing it better than you. When you decide to sleep in, someone else is doing it better than you. When you decide not to market, someone is going 10 times harder than you. And I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to be left behind. I'm not the kind of person that just wants to look from the sidelines and say, wow, he is so special. He must be an anomaly. He was born that way. He just has a love for this. He his pain tolerance is through the roof. He just can do this. His parents are athletes, so of course he's going to be an athlete. I don't want to be that guy that makes excuses for not doing the things that are really easy, but we make it hard in our minds. Everything I've done is easy. Everyone is capable of doing the same things I do. But we overcomplicate and we make it hard in our minds. Our bodies can take it. We make it hard, right? In business, when you're more than capable of achieving it, we just make it more difficult. But I've learned I just can't get motivated. Like, I just can't find motivation. I have to create it. And I create it through the competition, through a general sense. Everyone in general. Not one person specific. Now, has there been moments where I do want to outdo a person specifically? Absolutely. But that's a short-term gain. I'm looking beyond that person. Way above that. Because I want greater things, not just to be better than one specific person or persons. It's the general sense. It's that drive within. No one else is doing this. Because I know I'm a competitor. I know how bad I want it, and I don't want to be left behind. And that's what gets my ass up in the morning. That alone. Because if I decide to sleep in, I know someone else is doing it. And this is the same mindset I took on and have been taking on since this COVID pandemic. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to sit back and destroy my business. I've spent years. I've sacrificed. It's been blood, sweat, and tears here. I've stressed out trying to get it where it's at. It almost broke my family apart. How dare you tell me to shut down? I will have zero shame to do what I do because you don't know my journey. And that's the way we got to approach the game. I will not just shut down because everyone else wants me to. And we took on this whole situation just like that. We're going to continue to do what we need to do. I've bled too much for this company. I've sacrificed a lot. And so have you. And for you just to give up so easily, what a shame. What a shame for yourself, what a shame for your family. It's time to rise up. And not just to cover the bills, but to build something great. And I refuse to go down that path because I'm a competitor. I will not lose. And you'll never lose unless you quit. And that's the thing that won't happen with me. I don't have to come in first. I don't. But I will compete. I will give it my all. I will not just roll over and play dead. I will not hide, close my windows. I will go out there and I will compete. That's the approach. You want motivation? Someone else is doing it. Get your ass up and do it too. You don't get better by avoiding the work. You don't get better by avoiding your marketing, reaching out to your clientele base. You don't get better by avoiding the work. And this is your X factor. I remember like growing up and wondering like, what am I good at? Like, we should all be good at something. Somebody would ask you like, what's the thing that you're really good at? I'm like, I don't know. And this pressure was getting to me, right? As I'm going from 17 to 20 to 25, people would be like, what's the thing that you're really good at? I don't know what my talent is. I don't know. I don't know what I was blessed with. Everyone is blessed with a talent. Everyone's blessed with something they do very well. I'm confused. I don't know. But I discovered it. It's my ability to keep going. That's what I'm really good at. And I will own it. And it's not a talent that I was born with. I had to develop it. That's what I'm good at. I will keep going. When times are tough, I will keep going. When it's painful, I will keep going. When times are good, I keep going. That's what I'm really good at. And I had to develop that. No longer do I feel the pressures of trying to find that, that unique X factor, that blessing that I was born with. I developed it. I developed it through decision. By doing the hard work, what appears to be hard. Getting up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. It really isn't that hard. It's hard in our heads. Everyone is capable of it. I have my legs. I have my health. They hurt. My knees hurt. My shins hurt. But it hurts more being small. It hurts more being complacent. That place right there is painful. It's horrible. It's miserable. And I've been there, knowing that I was capable of so much more, and I held myself back because I wasn't motivated. I thought I had to find motivation. I had to build it. I have to create it. And it's a game I play in my mind. Everyone's my competitor. And I'm not going to be left behind. I get up to compete. I get up to swing the bat, to play the game. The Ironman 70.3? 800th place maybe? 700th place? I don't know where I'll be. 200th place? But I'm a competitor because I'm doing more than I ever thought was possible for me. And that's the approach. Don't get up in the morning waiting to get motivated. Work towards it. And create that nemesis. Not anyone specifically. And I want to be very clear on that. Just everyone generally. Like, that really gets me going. And I'll be running with my group and I'll yell. No one is doing this. Everyone is sleeping. Everyone is taking their ease. This is hard. I'm doing the hard things right now. No one will do it. 5 miles, 10 miles. No one is doing this. Like, when you're doing something that no one else is doing, it gives you that unfair advantage. You're proclaiming to the world nothing will stop you. The same way we proclaimed it this entire 2020. No one is making moves when I made moves. Everyone shut down and I kept working. That's the advantage you have. That's your X factor. What are you really good at? I keep going. I think that's a talent. That is at the top of the list. And think back about those times where you felt weakened, defeated. And we bought into this thought that's, something was just bigger than us. Someone else got one over us. Because you thought the game was over at that point. Until you realize, oh, if I keep going, the story changes. This is an epic tale. Wait until it ends. But this is where you find your X factor. You see, what I've done and what you will do is when you can do what appears to be hard right now, when you do the things that appear to be very difficult right now, when difficult things really do appear, like the pandemic or an economy collapse, when those things really appear, like you have no problem, no qualms about just keep going. And those individuals are the ones that come out on top, raising their fist in the sky and saying, because of this, I am where I am. Because I decided not to hide, to play in the shadows, to lie in fear, I came out on top. And you'll notice this with great CEOs, people that have overcome great obstacles. It was when they were in the deepest of pain and most would quit. Most would throw in the towel. They kept going. And I know this, because I have this competitor mindset, I know it's only a matter of time before they quit. That's my optimism right there. Yeah, it hurts. Everyone's hurting right now. When the economy collapsed, everyone was hurting. During February and March, everyone was scared. But most broke. Most shut down. And I was out there spreading optimism. And I was encouraging you to do the same. They're breaking. And guess what? At the end of the day, they need true leadership. And it's our responsibility, you and I. But when things get really hard, they will break. It's hard for everyone. This is something that, even with the guys that I'm training, we'll go at it sometimes and we're back and forth trying to compete with each other on bikes or running. Sometimes I win, sometimes I don't, right? But I'm a competitor. I'm right there. And the only thought that goes through my mind is it's opposed to having that self-pity. As opposed to thinking, man, this is so hard, I can't breathe. My legs hurt. My heart feels like it's going to pop out of my chest. I look to my right. I look to my left. And I say, it's also hurting for him. He's also hurting. I'm just going to outlast him. That's what goes through my mind. Outlasting. And again, it's not to beat one specific person. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be Carla right next to me, my wife. It could be my daughters. I'm a competitor. Maybe that's not a good thing to do with your kids, right? I don't think I'd ever let them win on a Monopoly game or a checkers game. You just have to develop your skill sets to beat me. I'm sorry. I don't just give up like that. I remember my cousin one time, she said that, man, she hated playing Monopoly with me when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. Because I got into it. I was in it to win. And everything I do, I'm in it to win. And I'm not disappointed if I don't. Because I know I put it all in. Unless I didn't. That's when it really hurts. When you leave things on the table, right? When you know you could have given a little bit more. So I was a little disappointed on my last Ironman 70.3 because I know I could have given it a little more. But I didn't quit. I mean, I'm not just taking it for what it is. I said, you know what? I'm going to make a new goal, and I'm going to sign up in March. And that's exactly what I did because I wasn't too thrilled. I knew I could have put more on the table. It was painful, but I knew I could have tolerated it. And somehow I gave myself permission to slow down. My body's conditioned. My mind is conditioned. I could have taken that, but I allowed my thoughts to take over my decisions. But I'm a competitor. And I always compete. And this is the kind of things that we have to drill into our minds. Like, don't expect motivation just to happen. Don't expect it just to wake up and all of a sudden you want to do all these grand things. It's not going to occur that way. Start thinking about what somebody else is doing and they're leaving you behind. What a shame. They're working their ass off. What a shame for you. They're creating everything that you want. They're taking what's yours. They're outworking you. What a shame. So every morning I find solace in the fact that I'm like, no one else is doing this. Get your ass up, AZ. Get your ass up. This sucks. I'm feeling tired. So is everyone else, AZ. They will take their ease. You keep going. Why am I doing this? Because everyone else just won't. Like there's this fight, there's this constant battle, and it's again, I can't even draw up a picture of what my nemesis looks like. I just don't. It's just in general, like I think we're all born to just want to create something bigger than what we have, and that's okay. There's no shame in that. We have to own that. So on those days that you're feeling a little off, like, what is your competitor doing? And I'm not saying sit there and dwell on what they're doing, sit there and awe on what they're doing. I'm saying get your butt in the game. Don't just sit back and, and give up. Subside. Quit. And sometimes we get into these routines where, we get into these like behaviors, these tantrums when we shut down. We act defeated, start crying, right? Frustrated. You start yelling at innocent bystanders. And it's almost like dysfunctional. It's a dysfunctional behavior. And I always think, like, when I'm about to go down this route, how would it be if somebody were to recording me? Like if my mom were there, my wife and my kids were there. The way I'm acting right now, how would they take that? Would they be disappointed? I know my little one would be tremendously disappointed. She would be like, Dad, why are you acting this way? If we look at our own tantrums, a lot of them are childish, right? The way we shut down, we close the blinds. I remember, like, it's embarrassing, right? Getting under the covers, feeling sorry for myself. I could only imagine my daughter walking in or a video camera on me where I was forced to watch myself the way I was acting. How embarrassing is that? Right? Giving this to you, the real competitors, like, what would they say? And that's what we have to stop. It's ridiculous. The thoughts that go through our minds are ridiculous. We have to minimize it as opposed to feeding it. We feed it so much it paralyzes any action. When we could chop the legs from under that by just looking at it from a comical standpoint, looking at it from a standpoint of what our children would say, what we would say if we were forced to watch the video of us acting like little bitches. Oh, man. I can only imagine if somebody had a camera on me back then. Oh, my gosh, how embarrassing. But I'm a competitor. You're a competitor. And just know that this is the long game. This is the long game, and we just have to continue to make those deposits towards the things that we want. You want a better business? Like, it starts with your marketing. It starts with you reaching out to your clientele base, putting yourself outside of that comfort zone, right? Putting that camera right in front of your face, going live on videos. It's been proven. You want to feel good from within? Like, get up and do things that you're afraid of, like terrified that you're not good at. I wasn't good at running. I still hate swimming, but I've gotten a lot better, right? Cycling, geez, like I remember the last Ironman. 70.3 that I did. I mean, it rubbed the inside of my rear end raw. It rubbed it raw, and it was painful. It was painful, and yet I'm like going back for more. It's like, what am I? Is this crazy? No, I'm gonna build a callus right there where it rubbed it raw. Right? It's not gonna do that again. But it was so painful even getting to the shower. Like I felt like shrieking of pain because it felt like my skin was burning. But that right there is like, if you can do that, what else can you do? Like, he gives me a competitive edge, knowing that I can tolerate pain, knowing that I can keep going when things get tough, because I do the easy things that most won't be willing to do. And it's a conditioning process. So if you can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, you're more likely to get up when things really get tough, when there is a pandemic, when there is an economy downturn. You're more likely to do that after a big obstacle. But if you condition yourself to just make it an option each and every time, you're more likely, and you will be the first to buckle. Understand that. You will be the first one to buckle, and then the real players will be coming through, and you won't see them, right? They're going to be so far ahead, you're going to wonder how they got there. But what you didn't see is what they did behind the scenes. When it was dark, when it was cold, when it was hot, when it was painful, you forgot to see those things. So you want motivation? What is your competitor doing? That'll get you up. I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. What are you getting out of this? I know when I really want something bad, man, nothing could get me off that focus. I want it bad. Ruth, it hurts more being small. Yes, right? I think we've all been in that place, and it's painful. I remember just feeling defeated, like not knowing why I felt so off my game. And it was because I was avoiding the simple work, which meant like the hard work wasn't even my vocabulary. I would be the first to buckle. Lonnie, so true, and I'm glad it's resonating with you. Gabe, speaking the truth, motivation is the key factor to anything worthwhile. Motivation has to be built, right? I lost motivation a long time ago. It's a responsibility. And I have to find that drive somewhere else. And just knowing that most are unwilling to do the things that I do, like, it gets me fired up. It gets me fired up. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, I don't want bad things upon others. It fires me up. I'm a player in a game. I'm a competitor. And I want to remind you that there was a podcast that we did. It was on Mindset Master, and you can find this. And I want to encourage you, especially if you've joined us for the first time. There was an interview that I did with Carla, IFBB Pro, Carla, my wife, and she talked about being a competitor. And just that conversation alone, that fired me up for weeks. I was on cloud 9. So it's called I'm a Competitor, and it was with Carla Rajo. She was my special guest. So go back to that. Like, if you want to kill the remainder of the year, and there's going to be plenty of opportunity for you, plenty right now, because guess what your competitors are doing? They're taking their ease. Give them no rest. General Sun Tzu, man, he said it best, right? They're taking their ease, and just look at them and say, you are unwilling to do what I'm doing. You're unwilling to put yourself out there unapologetically. You're unwilling to make mistakes. You're unwilling to go live. You're unwilling to follow up. You're unwilling to do the hard work, the painful work, the grunt work. But I am. And I will. And I will keep going. I'm getting compete with yourself and call yourself out on your inner BS and excuses in your head to grow stronger. I think I'm getting competitive. Thank you, AZ. You're welcome, Kim. Champs are made when nobody's watching. And it's funny because my daughter, and this quick last story before we call it a day, and I want to thank you again for joining me in Mindset Mastery, but my daughter just made the top team, one of the elite club teams here in Phoenix. And as a matter of fact, they're recognized nationally. They create some of the best clubs in the entire country. They're highly competitive. It's a traveling team, and my daughter made the 16s Thunder, which is again their top team, and my daughter was nervous, even though she's been playing since she was 5-6 years old. She's nervous about making the top team because there was just so many competitors. The first night that it was open gym, there was like 60, 70 girls there, and she's minimizing herself, right? She's marginalizing herself because she sees all this talent, and she was failing to see what she's done, and she was failing to see that she's a competitor. And I've seen her compete at a high level. I've seen her fight for positions. I've seen her, be taken out and put on the bench, and her working her ass off behind the scenes when no one else was watching, right? To get better and reclaim that starting position. I've seen that firsthand. And what I love about this coach, and I have high ambitions for what's going to happen this year, right? They're just watching this team and the talent that they have. But this coach said, hey, listen, you can play really hard here at practice, but everyone else is doing it. He says you could come here and kill it in practice, but understand that everyone else is doing this. It's what you do when no one else is around that's gonna decide if you're on the starting lineup or not. It's gonna decide if this team wins the national championship. It's what you decide to do, because as you get better, you force your fellow teammate to get better. And even though it's a team, it's very much competitive, right? Everyone wants to be on the floor. And your competitors do a beautiful thing, is they make you get better, unless you decide to quit, unless you decide to break. But the competition is there to make you better. And I love that he said that. He said everyone can have a good practice because everyone is watching, everyone is here. But what you decide to do outside of practice, that's what really counts. And that's the game, right? That's what it's all about. So I love it. I've seen the results of doing the work, and motivation has been the reason that got me started. Thank you, AZ. That the work got started. Thank you. Blaze. What's going on, my brother? You're welcome. Stefan. That's true character. I think we build character, right? So if you're one of those individuals that is walking around, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what my talent is, I'm telling you, just own consistency. Just owning that alone, that is a true talent. Showing up regardless of whatever comes your way. So don't focus so much on that one thing that you're really good at. And if you're really good at something cool, then double down on that. But I never found that X factor within myself. I created it. I said I was going to be uber consistent, and I was going to compete. And this is something that you can condition yourself to do. So let's go out there and do it, right? Thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that you're able to go out there and compete. Until next time, I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, everyone. Bye now.